We have a number of experts invited today to answer your questions. Let me introduce our first expert. From PHP Research Institute, we have a senior research fellow, Mr. Hidetomo Arata. Next to him is the professor of the Faculty of Economics at Nihon University, Ms. Namiko Numao. Next to her is the associate professor of the Faculty of Humanities at Japan Women's University, Mr. Yusuke Murakami. I'm Murakami, glad to meet you. Sorry about that. And our moderator today is the Professor Yasunori Sone of the Graduate School of Media and Governance at Keio University. The profiles of the experts are included in your handout, so please refer to them. From here on, I'd like to ask Professor Sone to serve as the moderator. Thank you for your introduction. I'm Sone of Keio University. I will serve as today's moderator. The approach here is to receive questions from the floor and get the experts to respond to these questions and provide information. We would like to ask each person to spend about 2 minutes answering each question. Each of the groups have come up with their questions. Some of them are overlapping. So we will handle any identical questions together and ask for any additional comments afterwards. So the first questions are from Group C. Is Mr. Nakamura of Group C here with us? We discussed about education. Various views are raised, but under the Doshu system, what will be the difference under Doshu system in education? That wasn't clear to any of us. The pros and cons of Doshu system for education seemed quite vague. It was hard for us to reach any clear judgment on this. So what would change in education under the Doshu system? Could you please explain that? So it's a very fundamental question. Starting with Mr. Arata, could you please give your response? Hello everyone, I'm Arata. Today's goal is to think about the Doshu system. It may be a rather hard topic to think about since it's hard to relate to. What would change under the Doshu system? Simply speaking, local people will be able to decide things for themselves. There are various aspects to how that would apply to education. Let me explain why there's a proposal to change the structure of a nation drastically into the Doshu system. Let me first give an overview on why this is being proposed. Two things need to be kept in mind. First, Japan's population is going to decline. We'll be in a depopulating society. In ancient days, even from ancient times, Japanese population has constantly increased. There were various wars and some extreme exceptions, but we've increased up to 120 million people. But peaking at about 2006, the population is starting to decline. That's the first main issue. Secondly, when we look at the Japanese economy, we are sinking further and further in the global economy. The per capita GDP in Japan has hardly grown at all over the last 10 years, whereas other countries' per capita GDP has increased to 1.5 or even 2 times what it was. That's the context for the doshu system, and that should be kept in mind. So that's the main point. Next is Professor Namao. You're asking how education would change under the doshu system. When we think of doshusei as currently discussed, the first point is that powers will be delegated from the national government to the regions. Secondly, the prefectures will be expanded to a larger block called doshu. Those are the two main points we should keep in mind. Mandatory education, the curriculum for it is decided by the Minister of Education, and the teachers are hired at the prefectural level, and the buildings and facilities are maintained by the municipalities. There are nationwide standards at present, but that would be delegated so that the doshu would be deciding the curriculum and the classroom size, etc. Some doshu might want to focus on education on a particular language, or some doshu might want to focus education on a particular technical area, etc. So each region would be able to vary its contents and level of education. That could also lead to disparities between the regions or doshu. If the high schools run by the prefectures are transferred to doshu, then now all of the high schools that are currently under the prefectures would be managed under the doshu. These are some of the changes that might occur. Next, Mr. Murakami. Thank you for your question. Simply speaking, it's as has just been explained by Professor Namao. The scope of decision-making by the region will increase, but that could also lead to greater gaps between regions in education. The regions will be able to decide more things on their own, but that will lead to disparity between the regions. So the pros and cons can be boiled down to those 2 points. Let me talk a bit more specifically. There would be 2 major changes in education, I think. First, the school curriculum is being determined top-down on a nationwide level now. Under the doshu system, the doshus may be able to decide their own curriculums. That's being discussed. In this case, if the doshu are given the authority to determine the curricula, then there would naturally be a gap between curricula of the different among the doshus. There might be some compromise option where the mandatory education up to junior high school is determined by the central government, whereas high school education is determined by the doshu. But transfer of authority on curriculum making from the nation to the doshu would have pros and cons. Secondly, is the choice of teachers. Presently, the teachers are chosen by the prefectures, but under doshu, it's assumed that the teachers would be hired by the municipalities.